Have you ever noticed that rush of excitement when you're about to tell someone your big plan, only to feel strangely satisfied and then, days later, find you've lost all motivation to actually do it? That feeling isn't progress, it's a psychological trap. In a culture that constantly asks, "What's next?" and celebrates every minor update, we've forgotten a fundamental truth. Not everything deserves to be broadcast. Sharing your next move can actually be the very thing that stops it from happening. The Stoics understood a powerful paradox, that true strength isn't found in speaking, but in the discipline of restraint. It's not about hiding from the world, but about building an internal fortress so strong that you no longer require the world's applause to feel worthy. When you stop feeding on validation, you start fueling your own fire. If you're ready to stop leaking your power into empty conversations and start building a life of genuine substance, stay with me. We're about to explore 10 transformative principles that will change how you navigate your ambitions, your energy, and your future. This is about reclaiming your focus and letting your results become your voice. And if the idea of cultivating that kind of unshakable inner strength resonates with you, consider subscribing to Stoic Mindset Mastery. It's more than a channel, it's a commitment to building a quieter, more powerful you. Your inner world is not a public exhibition. There's a peculiar pressure we feel to narrate our lives as they happen, to post the milestone, to tweet the goal, to tell our friends about the new business before the website is even built. We mistake the act of sharing for the act of doing. But here's the hard truth. Every time you open a window into your soul for the sake of a reaction, you're not just sharing information, you're surrendering a piece of your own drive. You trade the quiet, gritty work for a fleeting hit of social approval. And that hit is addictive. It creates a cycle where the work itself becomes secondary to the announcement of it. You start needing the good job more than you need the result. Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher king, didn't spend his time drafting press releases about his virtues. He wrote for himself, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one." He understood that the essence of character is built in the unseen moments. Let your actions be the only biography you ever need. We've all felt it, that little dopamine spike when someone reacts positively to our news. But the problem is, that spike is a substitute for the real reward. You start chasing the acknowledgement instead of the achievement. Think about it. Have you ever felt a project lose its magic the moment you explained it to someone who just didn't get it? That's because you gave away its power. You made it vulnerable to their perception. This is why those who achieve the most are often the most private. They understand their life force is a finite resource, and they guard it with their life. When you broadcast your intentions, especially to the wrong people, you're not just sharing a plan. You're inviting their energy into your process. And not everyone's energy is benevolent. Some listen to compare, some to find fault, and some simply to feed their own need for drama. Epictetus, another giant of Stoic thought, taught that freedom is found not in having more, but in needing less. The less you need from others, their praise, their understanding, their approval, the more sovereign you become over your own existence. Protect your inner spark by being incredibly selective about who gets to see it. Your struggles, your dreams, your next big move, they are not public property. You owe no one a front row seat to your evolution. This isn't about being secretive or aloof. It's about creating a sanctuary for your growth. Remember that feeling when you're working on something important and you haven't told a single soul? That pure, undisturbed focus? That's where the real magic lives. That quiet space is sacred. It's time to reclaim it. Build in private, protect your peace, and let the finished work be the only announcement you ever make. Words, once spoken, can never be taken back. And more dangerously, they can rob you of your own momentum. Think about how many times you've excitedly told a friend about a new diet, a book you're going to write, or a skill you're going to learn. You got the nod, "that's amazing," and then crickets. The drive vanished. Why? Because your brain, in that moment of sharing, got a little taste of the finish line. It confused the announcement with the accomplishment. You prematurely released the pressure that was needed to fuel the engine. This isn't just a feeling, it's a psychological principle. When you verbalize a goal, your mind experiences a kind of social reality. You get credit for it in your own head, and the urgent need to actually do the work diminishes. You've poured the fuel out onto the ground and are now wondering why the car won't move. We fall for this constantly. We crave that moment of being seen, of being the person with the exciting idea. But that craving is a trap. You're trading the hunger for the hard work, for the empty calories of recognition. The most effective people aren't the ones constantly updating their LinkedIn with their next big aspiration. They are the ones too busy working to post about it. They know that real progress is silent. It's built in the early mornings and late nights when no one is watching. Every time you share an unfinished idea, you risk losing the quiet, focused energy required to bring it to life. Instead of talking your goals into existence, you need to live them into existence. Focus on the steps, the repetition, the discipline. That is where the transformation happens. That is where you build something real. When you finally emerge from that period of silent work, your results will have a weight and a power that no announcement ever could. Your actions will scream what your words only whispered. So next time you're about to tell someone your brilliant plan, pause. Ask yourself, is this about moving forward or is this about feeling good? If it's the latter, keep your mouth shut and get back to work. Let your results do the talking. Your focus is your most valuable currency. And like any currency, if you spend it carelessly, you'll be left with nothing. How often do we find ourselves in conversations that drain us, leaving us feeling emptier than before? We talk about our day, our frustrations, our hopes, and the person across from us gives a half-hearted nod before launching into their own story. We've just paid with our attention and got nothing in return. Attention is not infinite. Every minute you spend explaining yourself to someone who isn't truly listening, you are stealing that minute from your own growth. Carl Jung, the great psychologist, said, "The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are." But you can't become who you truly are if you're constantly giving your energy away to people who don't help you grow. You become a reflection of their expectations, their boredom, their need for gossip. You become a version of yourself that is perpetually seeking validation from a crowd that doesn't care. Think about your life. Where does your focus actually go? How many hours have evaporated in conversations that led nowhere, that left you feeling unseen and unheard? You leave those interactions feeling depleted, but you can't quite figure out why. It's because you spent your precious attention on something that didn't nourish you. We all do it. We get caught in the rhythm of social obligation, mistaking noise for connection. But connection that drains you isn't connection, it's energy theft. When you overshare with the wrong people, you aren't building bridges. You're giving away bricks from your own foundation. You are depleting the very resources you need to build your life. The more you seek external validation, the weaker your internal compass becomes. True power, the Stoics knew, comes from turning your attention inward. It comes from focusing on what you can control, your thoughts, your reactions, your effort. Most of our suffering, as Marcus Aurelius noted, comes from losing this focus. We suffer because we care too much about what others think, because we waste our attention on things outside our control. Imagine what you could accomplish if you took even half the energy you spend on draining conversations and pointless social scrolling and channeled it into your own goals. When you protect your attention, your life gains purpose. Your energy becomes a laser, not a leaky faucet. Instead of giving your focus away to people who don't truly care, invest it in the things that make you grow: your health, your craft, your peace. Remember, what you feed grows. When you stop feeding the need for external validation and start feeding your own potential, the results will be undeniable. Protect your focus. It is the engine of your progress. We often act as if we owe the world a constant explanation for who we are and what we're doing. We feel guilty if we're not transparent, if we keep parts of ourselves hidden. But this feeling of obligation is a trap. The truth is, you don't owe anyone a window into your soul. In fact, building strong boundaries is an act of profound self-respect. When you feel compelled to explain every decision, every choice, every new direction, you are handing over the pen to your life story. You are letting others become the co-authors of your narrative. And people, even well-meaning ones, will always write a version of you that fits their own story. Before you know it, you're living up to their expectations, trying to be the person they think you should be, rather than the person you are trying to become. This erosion of self happens slowly, one explanation at a time. Authenticity isn't about wearing your heart on your sleeve for all to see. True authenticity is about being so real with yourself that you don't need to perform your life for anyone else. It's about the quiet strength of knowing who you are without needing to constantly prove it. Society tells us that openness is the ultimate virtue, but it rarely distinguishes between healthy vulnerability and careless overexposure. Healthy vulnerability is shared with those who have earned it. Careless overexposure is handing your diary to a stranger. Learning to say, "I prefer to keep some things private," is a complete sentence. You don't need to justify it. You don't need to apologize for it. It is your right. When you constantly explain and justify, you make yourself vulnerable in ways that don't serve you. You create a sea of expectations that you then feel you have to swim in. Expectations that shape you into something you're not. Boundaries aren't walls to keep people out. They are filters to let the right energy in. They are a way of saying yes to your own peace by saying no to constant demands for access. The more you protect your inner world, the stronger your sense of self becomes. You stop measuring yourself by the yardstick of other people's opinions and start living by your own truth. Keeping parts of your life sacred is not about being secretive. It's about being intentional. It's about channeling your energy into what truly matters, not into managing everyone else's perception of you. So next time you feel that urge to over-explain, remember, silence is a shield. Your life is your own. The boundaries you set are the guardians of your peace in a world that will always ask for more than you should give. Do you know that feeling of pure, unadulterated power when you're working on something and absolutely no one knows? It's a secret you keep with yourself. A quiet engine of momentum that no outside opinion can touch. That feeling is one of your greatest assets. Protect it. The moment you let others into your process, you invite their judgment. You invite their questions, their doubts, their unsolicited advice. Suddenly, your clear path becomes cluttered with the noise of other people's perspectives. You start to second-guess yourself. Maybe they're right. Maybe this is a bad idea. And just like that, your momentum stalls. You've allowed external voices to hijack your internal drive. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." He understood that obstacles are part of the journey, but the worst obstacles are the ones we create by letting others in too soon. When you build in silence, you give yourself the priceless gift of freedom, the freedom to fail. When no one is watching, a failure is just a lesson. It's data, it's a chance to adjust and try again. without the weight of public shame or the fear of looking foolish. But the moment you announce your project, failure is no longer just a step. It becomes a public event. It becomes something to be embarrassed about. This pressure can make you play it safe, to abandon your boldest ideas, or worse, to quit altogether. The quiet space where you can experiment and make mistakes is where the strongest foundations are built. Think of your goal as a seed. When you first plant it, you don't dig it up every day to show your friends how it's doing. You water it in secret. You let it take root in the dark, undisturbed soil. You protect it from the elements until it's strong enough to stand on its own. Your journey is no different. Nurture it in silence. Protect it from the harsh winds of other people's opinions. Let it grow strong in the dark, and when it's finally ready, the world will see it for what it is, something resilient, powerful, and undeniable. Your progress will be its own announcement. There's an incredible freedom in building without an audience. It allows you to take risks, to be bold, to truly follow your own intuition without the static of external feedback. When you let go of the need for validation, you reclaim your focus. And when you reclaim your focus, you reclaim your power. So protect your momentum, build in silence. Let the work speak for itself. The world will take notice when the results are ready. Don't rush the process by inviting them into the middle of it. Gossip isn't just an occasional pastime, it's a system. It's a social currency that runs on information. And when you overshare, you are the primary investor in that system, feeding it the fuel it needs to run. You might share something innocently, looking for connection or to vent, but once your words leave your mouth, they are no longer yours. They become part of a narrative you cannot control. People will take your story and shape it to fit their own understanding, their own biases, their own need for entertainment. What you meant as a moment of vulnerability can become tomorrow's rumor. What you shared as a private struggle can become a weapon used against you later. Carl Jung observed, "Everything that irritates us about others can lead us to an understanding of ourselves. But when we overshare, we hand over the keys to that understanding to others. Our growth becomes something for them to dissect, judge, and twist. The uncomfortable truth is that people will talk about you whether you give them material or not. It's a sad fact of human nature. The difference is, when you keep your private life private, you starve the gossip machine. You deny it the raw material it needs to build a false narrative about you. When you share too much, you give them a story that clings to an old version of you. As you grow and evolve, they will continue to tell that old story. They will remember the person you were, not the person you are becoming. And that old story can become a cage, holding you back from being seen as you truly are now. Imagine trying to transform, to leave behind old habits and old identities, only to find that everyone around you is still treating you like the person you used to be. It's a suffocating feeling. And the more you shared in the past, the more material they have to keep that old version of you alive. That's why guarding your private thoughts is so essential. Your inner world, your struggles, your dreams, they are the raw materials of your future self. Don't let them be processed into gossip before they have a chance to become something real. When you keep certain things close, you protect your ability to change. You allow yourself the space to evolve without the weight of other people's fixed perceptions. You can move through life without constantly feeling the need to correct their outdated image of you. Seneca said, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality." The fear of being gossiped about, of being misunderstood, often causes more pain than the gossip itself. But when you build a fortress around your private life, you liberate yourself from that fear. You no longer have to live under the microscope of public opinion. You may think total transparency is a form of authenticity, but it often just chains you to a past version of yourself. Choose to share only what serves your future. Protect the parts of you that are growing and changing. Your evolution is yours to define. Keep it pure, keep it private. When you decide to change, to level up, to become someone new, you will notice a strange thing happen. The people around you will get uncomfortable. They'll start asking questions. Why are you acting so differently? Who do you think you are? At first glance, these might seem like genuine inquiries, but more often than not, they are subtle attempts to pull you back into the box they've kept you in. Your growth threatens their comfort. The old you was predictable. They knew how you'd react, what you'd say, what you were capable of in their eyes. That predictability gave them a sense of security. But when you start to change, you break the mold. You challenge their assumptions, and in doing so, you challenge their own resistance to change. They may not even be conscious of it, but they feel threatened. Your evolution is a mirror reflecting their own stagnation, and they don't like what they see, so they try to dim your light to make their own darkness feel more comfortable. This is a critical moment. If you engage with their doubts, if you try to defend your new path, you will get pulled into a losing battle. You will waste your energy trying to make them understand something they are not ready or willing to see. You will find yourself explaining and justifying, which only reinforces their position as the judge of your life. Don't do it. Don't argue. Don't defend. Just keep walking. Keep moving forward with the quiet confidence that you don't need anyone's permission to become who you are meant to be. Your transformation forces them to question their own lives. They are watching you, hoping you'll succeed so they can believe it's possible, but also, secretly, perhaps hoping you'll fail so they can feel better about their own inaction. If you give in to their doubts, you prove them right. You lose the momentum you've worked so hard to build. The key is to stay laser-focused on your own path. Remember, your growth is not a debate topic. It is your life. As you grow, you will notice something important. The people who are meant to be in your life will celebrate your changes, not resist them. They will be inspired by your courage, not threatened by it. Those who cannot handle the new you will naturally drift away. And that is not a loss. It is a clearing of the path. You are not responsible for their comfort. You are responsible for your own evolution. The less you explain, the more powerful your transformation becomes. Every time you choose to stay true to your journey, despite the puzzled looks and the unsolicited advice, you strengthen your resolve. You deepen your understanding of who you are becoming. The process of change doesn't need to be announced, defended, or explained. It simply needs to be lived. So next time someone questions your growth, don't explain. Just keep moving. Your journey is yours alone, and it doesn't need to be understood by anyone but you. Silence can feel incredibly uncomfortable, can't it? We live in a world of constant noise, podcasts, music, notifications, the hum of conversation. When it suddenly stops, we feel an urge to fill it, to say something, anything, just to escape the void. But what if we've misjudged silence? What if it's not a void, but a training ground? That discomfort you feel when the noise stops is not a sign of emptiness. It's a sign that you are about to start a workout for your soul. You're training yourself to be alone with your own thoughts, to find peace in the stillness, and to stop using words as a shield against your inner world. Most people are so addicted to external validation that they panic in silence. But the power you can cultivate in that quiet space is far greater than any reassurance you can get from a conversation. In the silence, you don't hear the world's opinion, you hear your own truth. Carl Jung said, "Your vision will become clear only when you can look into your own heart. Who looks outside dreams, who looks inside awakes." Silence is where you go to look inside. It's where you can finally hear your own desires, your own fears, your own wisdom, without the interference of other people's voices. Every time you rush to fill that space with words, you rob yourself of that opportunity. you miss the chance to build the mental clarity and emotional strength that can only be found in solitude. You forfeit the power that comes from mastering your own mind. The more you embrace silence, the more you'll realize it's not empty, it's full. It's full of potential, full of insights, full of the strength you need to navigate your life. It's not easy though. The discomfort is real. We've been conditioned to believe that noise equals connection and words equal progress, but often they are the very things preventing it. Constant talking and sharing dilute your power. They keep you caught up in a cycle of seeking approval instead of doing the actual work. Silence, on the other hand, forces you to focus. It gives you the space to think, to create, and to plan without the pressure of external expectations. When you're alone in the quiet, you are forced to confront your thoughts and your goals. And that confrontation is where true growth begins. By learning to sit with that discomfort, by learning to appreciate the silence, you will change. You will begin to trust yourself more. Your own voice will become louder and clearer than the noise of the crowd. You won't need to explain your every move. You can just be. And when you do choose to speak, after a period of silence, your words will carry a weight they never had before. They will come from a place of strength, not from a need for reassurance. They will be a sharing of your wisdom, not a plea for validation. In a world that celebrates noise, real power lies in the moments you choose silence. It's not emptiness. It's where you build your foundation, find your center, and forge your strength. So next time you find yourself in a quiet moment, don't run from it. Sit with it, embrace it, because in that silence you will discover more about yourself than any conversation could ever reveal. Your life is not a public park, it's your home. And a home has doors. Not everyone gets a key. In fact, some people don't even deserve an invitation to step inside. This might sound harsh, but it's a necessary truth for protecting your peace. When you let too many people into the inner sanctum of your thoughts and feelings, you risk losing the very essence of who you are. You start to subconsciously edit yourself. You shape your dreams to fit their expectations. You downplay your struggles to avoid their judgment. You perform a version of yourself that you think they will approve of. And in that performance, the authentic you gets lost. You become a reflection of their demands, not an expression of your own soul. The hard reality is that not everyone who asks to hear your story has earned the right to hear it. And that's perfectly okay. It's tempting to want to share everything, especially with people we love or admire. But you must learn to discern. Opening up to someone who isn't aligned with your growth is like pouring water into a cracked pot. You just end up empty. They will take your energy, your vulnerability, and instead of nurturing it, they will let it drain away. They might listen to your struggles and turn them into gossip. They might hear your dreams and fill you with their own doubts. They will consume your energy without giving anything back. If you let them, you will be left with nothing. That's why guarding your inner world is so critical. It's not about being secretive or building walls of mistrust. It's about building a fortress of peace around the most sacred parts of your life. It's about protecting your dreams while they are still fragile, your plans while they are still forming, and your struggles while you are still working through them. When you keep these things close, you give them the space to grow strong, away from the harsh weather of other people's opinions. You don't need to explain your journey to anyone who isn't walking the path with you. The people who deserve to hear your truth are those who have proven their loyalty, who support your growth unconditionally, and who will hold your story with care. They are the ones who challenge you to rise higher, not the ones who clip your wings with their doubts or feed on your pain for entertainment. So next time you feel the urge to open up, ask yourself, is this person a guardian of my peace or just a consumer of my energy? If they don't help you grow, don't let them in. Protect your peace, your boundaries, and your future. Keep your dreams and your struggles close to your heart. Share them only with those who have earned the right to hear them. Your life is your own masterpiece. Protect it fiercely. We live in a world that demands a highlight reel. We're conditioned to post the before and after, to announce the promotion, to share the medal. But here's the secret that the highlight reel never shows. The transformation happened in the mundane, unwitnessed moments. The real work, the work that actually changes your life, doesn't need an audience. It needs consistency. We've confused visibility with progress. We think that if we're not posting about it, it's not happening. But the opposite is true. The most profound changes occur in the silent daily repetition of small actions. They happen when you choose the workout over the snooze button, when you write the page, even when you don't feel inspired, when you save the money instead of spending it. No one sees these choices. There's no applause. There's only you and your commitment. And that is exactly where true power is built. The danger of sharing your progress too soon is that you start to perform for the approval. You start measuring your success by likes and comments instead of by your own standards. Your focus shifts from doing the work to documenting the work. And documenting is not doing, it's a distraction. It turns your journey into a performance, and performances are designed to please the audience, not to foster authentic growth. You become more concerned with how things look than with how they feel. You start chasing milestones for the photo op, not for the genuine sense of achievement. Consistency is the antidote to this performative trap. Consistency is the quiet, relentless engine of real transformation. It's the small actions repeated daily that build momentum. It's the discipline of showing up for yourself when no one is watching. The most impressive people you know aren't the ones constantly updating their status. They are the ones who are too busy doing the work. They understand that their progress doesn't need witnesses, it needs dedication. They know that the results will be their only necessary announcement. You don't need to tell the world every time you hit a small milestone. In fact, the more you talk about your goals, the less psychic energy you have left to achieve them. Sharing dilutes the power of the work. The real magic happens in the quiet hours, the late nights, the early mornings spent honing your craft. That's where the foundation of success is laid. When someone asks what you're up to, you don't need to give them a detailed presentation. A simple just focusing on my routine is enough. Let your consistency be the proof, not your words. When you stop seeking validation and simply focus on the work, something remarkable happens. You start to grow at a pace that feels organic and sustainable. You make real progress, not because you're getting recognition, but because you are putting in the work day after day without needing anyone to notice. This shift in mindset is what separates those who truly succeed from those who just talk about it. Consistency is the game changer. It's the accumulation of small, unseen efforts that leads to the breakthrough. That momentum doesn't need to be announced or witnessed. It just needs to be nurtured in silence. Every time you show up, every time you do the work, you are moving closer to your goal. And eventually, without you having to say a word, the results will become undeniable. They will speak for themselves. So stop focusing on sharing every little thing. Focus on showing up for yourself. Focus on consistency. Focus on the work. Progress doesn't need witnesses, it just needs to be earned, day after quiet day, with no need for applause. Your journey is yours to own. It's not for the world to validate. It's for you to build step by quiet step, with consistency and dedication. When you stop seeking attention and focus on the work, that's when true, irreversible transformation happens. So protect your peace, protect your momentum, and let your actions be the loudest thing about you. If you're ready to continue building this unshakable foundation, I've linked another powerful video right here that will deepen this practice. And as always, thank you for being a part of Stoic Mindset Mastery. Keep building in silence and let your evolution be the only noise you make.